Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode right here of the Locker Room. And this one is going to be strictly about the Champions League action, the last round from the top four of the English Premier League sides performance in the Champions League. And we will be reviewing that. If you've just joined us, subscribe, like, share our link widely and widely. And we have a Man United gentleman in the house and a Chelsea guy in the house, and I'll be happy to introduce them to you and get cracking with the show right after this.
Oh, he's done it! Cometh now! Cometh the man! And it's that one, Mathew! It's 8 goals in his last 8 Premier League starts at Emirates Stadium. Salah! Wow! What a strike by Mohamed Salah!
Ball down the channel, and it's played into Fernandes in the penalty area. Oh,
Haven't they? Here's Harry Kane. Kane goes for what a goal from in business here. Lukaku scores on second debut. It's only taken 14 minutes.
Brilliant. Welcome back, everyone, to the Locker Room. Like I mentioned before, this week it's all about the Champions League. It's a reaction to the last round of Champions League action, focusing on the top 4 British or English Premier League teams that actually participated. And with us in the house today is Musem, a Man United fan there, although he's quite neutral, wearing a Uganda Cranes jersey. Welcome, Musem.
Thank you, Matthew. How are you guys? Ali G, nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you too.
Yeah, and of course in the house is Ali G as well. Usual, one of our usual Chelsea suspects in there. We've been teasing him that Roman Abramovich's helicopter ran out of fuel, and hence why we're seeing challenges at Stamford Bridge.
Thank you.
We will get into that. We'll kick off the night with on Musem's side, kicking it off with the action in the Champions League, and we have no other place to start than the Theatre of Dreams. That was a game on Wednesday night. Manchester United coming from a goal down to nick it against Villarreal from Spain. Obviously, a repeat of the Europa League final that Villarreal won last season. But Musem, Aizo, as I like to call you sometimes, tell us, obviously the euphoria from Fergie time victory right there, goals coming in from Alex Tellers, a fantastic shot coming with an assist from Bruno Fernandes. Looked like a training ground move that they pulled off successfully, which kudos to them and the coach for that, obviously. And then Cristiano Ronaldo getting an assist from the substitute there, Jesse Lingard, and nicking it right at the death. What was your reaction to that, Musem?
Yes, okay. Of course, Matthew, Ronaldo makes the headlines. Once Messi is in the headlines, Ronaldo has to match it with drama. Of course, it was Fergie time. I remember in the first episode, I told you that Ronaldo is here to make us hit the headlines. Really, he will score the goals. He will come in with late winners. He will rescue us from the death and all that. But as we were discussing off air, I think it's just peppering the cracks at Old Trafford. The performance was really terrible. I think that's the least I can say about it. It was terrible. But a win is a win. You have to take the 3 points. Much needed 3 points in the UEFA League. We could not afford to actually drop any points in that game, seeing that we lost to Young Boys in the first game. This was a must win at all costs. And of course, that's why you have people like Ronaldo. When you need a result, regardless of the performance, they will come in. They will come in handy. And it was great. Of course, Old Trafford, the roof was almost going off. last minute. You saw Usain Bolt, Sir Ferguson, everyone was in the stands, happy to see the man come through for us. But it was just headlines for Ronaldo. He had a terrible game. He was quiet throughout. Our balance somehow has been tilted because of Ronaldo. You could see Solskjaer can't afford to bench him even when he's having a terrible game, and you see why he couldn't, afford to bench him, because in the 90th minute plus, you guaranteed a goal. So it's tilting the balance of play in a way. We can't do what I think Ole had in plan for us prior to the season, with Greenwood and all these other guys. Now with Ronaldo, he takes center stage. He's a must start. You can't afford to bench him, and of course it's wrong to bench him, as you saw in young boys game. We shouldn't have benched Ronaldo because he can come in clutch anytime with a goal at the depth of it all.
Let me just touch on that point, and Ali G, I'll put this through to you. Musem has highlighted how Ronaldo, we cannot afford to bench him. This is need I remind everyone, and especially you, Musem, that we're looking at a 37-year-old turning 38 very soon. He's obviously one of the greatest players ever in the history of the game. No doubt. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan, but respect Cristiano Ronaldo and the amount of effort and he puts in to keep his body in good shape. But is this sustainable throughout the course of the season, Ali G? Or could we borrow a leaf from how Chelsea? I think for me, how Chelsea has effectively managed N'Golo Kante's age, in brackets, the African age and French age. I think Chelsea manages to, from my observation, Chelsea manages and Thomas Tuchel in particular has managed to rotate his defensive midfield players in Kovacic right there and utilize him a lot more for the games that are not necessarily do or die, and bring in N'Golo Kante where it's absolutely required. So do you think Cristiano Ronaldo can be relied on for all the games of the season? And we're talking English Premier League as well.
Yes. Ronaldo can be relied on. And if you're talking about Chelsea, apart from N'Golo Kante, we also have Thiago Silva in the defense, who is also very old, and like you said, they have to manage him so well and bring him in games which are very crucial. But Ronaldo is Ronaldo. Even fans from the rival teams, we envy United. We hate United, but because of Ronaldo, we are forced to love the club, not just because of that one player. And they keep saying that he has a body of a 20-year-old. He's very disciplined when it comes to his diet, his work rate. So honestly, I don't think there's anyone who is sure of when Ronaldo will stop scoring. For Messi, we can say maybe he has 2 more years, but Ronaldo just keeps going. I think he will take them through this season. Next season, I don't know, but this season he can do it because he changed his style of play. Remember the Ronaldo that we saw, a 19-year-old a decade ago, maybe some years back. He used to run a lot, make so many runs, but he changed his style of play. He doesn't do a lot of tapping, running a lot with the ball. He just stays in the box, watches, main games, taps it in. So I think he can deliver for them this season. Next season, I'm not so sure, but he has shown us that he still has something to deliver this season.
Fantastic for that. And we will wait and see how long that can carry on. But certainly we have respect for the man. So Musem, I know you're actually reveling in that Faggy time last minute victory. Much relief from the weekend. You did survive our banter from earlier. Let me take it on to the next question. The final one around talking point really around United is Musem. Can you now put in a run? You have a busy round of fixtures. Some would even argue a tricky round of fixtures to come. Can you keep it going?
Well, from history, the evidence is there that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer always manages to pull out a great run of fixtures when things get tight. Every time the Boo boys, Ole out boys get louder, he manages to pull out a string of wins during tight fixtures. We have about 6-7 tight fixtures that include Arsenal, Liverpool, I think Man City in there, Chelsea. All these are hard games, but I think yesterday on one of the Man United forums, I said that Ole will get 5 wins. I think a draw, 2 draws and a loss out of those games. I still stand by that. Even as chairman of the Boo Boys, Ole out, I still believe he manages to get his results when he must, and that's how he ended up getting a contract. I remember that video that went viral when Rio Ferdinand was saying, Man United is back, Ole should be, given a blank contract and all that. I know he's going to pull out the same stops. That said, the team is not playing well. It's a disjointed. All these have been disjointed performances for the past 3-4 games. I think we've lost 3 in 4. So I don't expect much to come out of those games, but in terms of performances, in terms of play and methods that he uses as Ole, but I think he will get the results. 5 might be a bit optimistic, but I know he will not be as bad as we expect him to be, as the Boo Boys.
Let me ask, sorry for jumping in there, but let me ask specifically, what do you think is the challenge with the way United are playing right now? Why can't they find that consistency? Is it the way in which Ole sets them up? Is he failing to find the right balance? Is it, you can argue in this injury, of course, it's fullbacks, first choice fullbacks were not available. So Luke Shaw, they are seemingly out injured. And obviously Wan-Bissaka serving a suspension from the previous game. But Diogo Dalot and in particular, Alex Telles delivering with a goal. But defensively, you could argue they were run ragged by Villarreal for much of the night. So what's the issue with United, very briefly, before we move on to the next talking point?
Okay, briefly, I think I remember saying in the first episode, Mathew, Ole has no style of play. We, as United, we're not good at possessing, we're not good at pressing, we're not good defensively. As in, we are lost as a team. We have no style. Our style is vibes. We have vibes. We have vibe. Faggy time. Cristiano Ronaldo is scoring in the dying minutes and all that. All those are vibes. But in terms of methods of play, we don't have a style of play. And I think Ole just needs to sign a first team coach, a very good first team coach, because I don't see anyone in the back there who can actually help him change his ways. Carrick and all those other guys, Phelan, outdated. I don't think they can keep up with modern football. You cannot challenge the methods of Klopp, Pep, Tuchel. These are top managers. We don't have a style of play, and that's why you can see in our performances they're really disjointed.
All right, brilliant. Thanks for that, and we'll definitely.
And also, maybe to add on now.
Yes, Ali. Go ahead, Ali.
Players themselves, the players, I don't know if they have the confidence in Ole. Remember when we were watching the game against Young Boys, when Cristiano Ronaldo stood up and went to the touchline and was also giving instructions. And Ferdinand came out to say that if he was Ole, would tell Cristiano to go back and sit. There's a message it sends out when you have a player coming to the touchline. I know Ronaldo has tendencies of doing that. Even in Portugal, when his team is playing, he will go to the touchline and start offering instructions. But it doesn't send out a very good message to the players, to the fans. It shows that the coach is not managing the team very well. So I don't know that the players that we are yet to see that. We shall just have to see what it delivers.
All right, yes. We'll wrap that. We'll wrap all things United with that and move on to Ali G's beloved Chelsea team that did suffer 1-0 defeat away to Juventus. Like I mentioned, seem to be finding trouble getting motivated to deliver consistently in the last 2 games. So that's 2 defeats in a row for the boys in blue. Is it a reality check, Ali G, or was this just a blip?
Chelsea, we were not used to these losses, but honestly, we've lost a loss against a loss against Man City shouldn't be so. I don't think in the whole world there's any fan that was disappointed in the loss against Man City. Honestly, we're like, okay, it's payback. Man City is a very good side. It's okay. And when it comes to Juventus, Juve hasn't been so good. The season they've been struggling a lot. It was disappointing. The loss was very, very disappointing. And Thomas Tuchel has been so good when it comes to tactics, but I think he got his tactics wrong when it was at Man City and also at Juve. Juve is a very defensive team. I don't know why you would go and play them when you have 5 defenders. Because even in the game, they
Ali, some challenges with his connection there. Maybe I'll just pass it on to Musem. Do you agree?
back and just waiting. And
sorry, Ali, I'll just cut you short there until your connection stabilizes. But Musem, what's your contribution to that? Ali G feels that they came out, their tactics were a bit negative from Thomas Tuchel this time. He feels that they were a lot more defensive in this particular game away to Juventus, and they didn't take the game to Juve. Do you agree with that assessment or his analysis?
Actually, that was a very shocking result. Most of us expected Chelsea to really take it to Juventus. Juventus has not been playing very well. I think at one point they were in relegation like Arsenal. They were third bottom or something. So I was very surprised to see that he set up the way he did. Of course, the loss against Man City is not shocking per se, because really he had 3 games over Pep. Pep had to really go sit down and come up with something. Pep is an obsessive football manager. He will always sit down and try to crack something. So I expect Chelsea to get back. Really, they're a big side, and their coach knows what he's doing. He has the right ingredients to move on, and actually he should be challenging really for the Premiership with Lukaku and all those other players that he has. I believe they will do it.
Okay, fine. So you feel they'll get back to form. Ali G, since you're back, I think you can continue. What's your reaction to that? He feels that despite the negative setup, Chelsea will bounce back. But do you believe that Thomas Tuchel will come back to deploy these defensive tactics again, especially for the big games? Because, like you mentioned, they came out with 7 defensive-minded players. Came out in a 3-4-2-1 format, but the first 5 outfield players, the first 7 players were actually quite defensive.
For defenders.
Yeah. So or defensive-minded players, so to speak, in midfield, because they had Kovacic, Jorginho, and then Aspilicueta and Marcos Alonso on the wings, trying to play the wing backs coming, to actually get into that midfield, and then 3 central defenders. So, Ali G, do you believe Chelsea will deploy this defensive approach again, or do you think that they will release the shackles and come out flying? They do have Southampton this weekend in the Premier League, and then they are away to Brentford thereafter before coming back to host Malmo in the Champions League at home, and then Norwich City, rounding up a bit of the action for October, before actually facing Chelsea and Southampton again in the EFL Cup. So the October fixtures look good.
Yes.
Newcastle as well. Newcastle at the end of October. It looks like Chelsea have favorable round of fixtures. Do you feel they'll release the shackles and deploy their attack, or do you feel they'll remain defensive-minded? Yeah, Ali, we seem to have lost you again. Can you hear it? Yeah, seems like Ali is having challenges. We will leave it at that for Chelsea, and then move on to the next game that was actually played. As we can see, Thomas Tuchel there looking quite despondent. Liverpool putting FC Porto to the sword in Portugal. Yeah, very resounding result right there from Liverpool. Goals coming in from Mohamed Salah with a pair, Robert Firmino, or Bobby Firmino, as they call him, as some would call him, with a pair of goals as well. And then Sadio Mane also chipping in for Liverpool on the night. A very resounding victory for them, and they actually came out with the bragging rights from Portugal. So coming out 5-1. Musem, we've just been, we had a few discussion points on Liverpool's consistency and the lack of that consistency last season, driven by injuries. They seem to have their players back this season in large parts, especially within the central defense. With Virgin van Dijk, they did get Ibrahima Konate to shore up that defense as well as backup. But they are, out of the top four English Premier League teams, they do seem to be the ones that are showing a greater degree of consistency and seem to be more difficult to beat. What were your thoughts about this result, and do you feel they can carry this on into the Premier League this weekend?
Very, very good result for Liverpool. I didn't expect it to be such a rout, but 5 goals in early Champions League games is scary. That they look very good. Their front three are firing. Actually, you can call them front four, because whether it's Bobby Firmino or Jota, they seem to deliver. Mohamed Salah is on fire. I feel for Liverpool, as we discussed off air, that when it comes to the African Cup in January, I don't see how they cope without Salah's goals, Salah and Mane. I don't see them coping with just a front three of, say, maybe Origi, Jota, and Firmino. I don't see it. Yes, I don't see it. But the good side, of course, we discussed previously that their methods are good. The coach knows what he's doing. So you see, once you have your methods clear, that we're going to do a Gengen press, we're going to be making the opposition, forcing them into mistakes, and then the back follows. They trust their back, their back 5-4, you can say. The team knows what they're doing. Any one player that you bring into the system will try and deliver. Of course, it's questionable. Their second 11, if you look at people like Chamberlain, Curtis Jones, they are not really top notch, but it's about the methods. You see, once the players believe in the methods that the coach is deploying, it's easy to pep up those cracks once a few players are injured. For example, I think Alexander-Arnold is out, but when you bring in Milner, another old player, he can deliver the goods. So I think they will do well until that point when their big guns have to go for the African Cup
of Nations. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And for me, if Jurgen Klopp can manage to weather that storm in January and February of 2022, potentially losing his top two strikers, really, in Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, to the African Cup of Nations duty, then we believe that he will be able to come out quite strong, considering the issues that he actually went through last season, especially in defense, and that seems to have been sorted out. They're playing Manchester City this weekend. Manchester City come to Anfield. Do you feel that they will carry this momentum through to that game at Anfield and cause Manchester City issues, potentially nick a victory there?
That's a hard game to call, but I believe it could be a draw. It could be a high-scoring draw, maybe 2-2, 3-3, because both teams are firing. Of course, Pep comes with his tail between his legs after that loss in the Champions League. Of course, he never wants to lose to Messi, but it seems that Messi has his number for some reason. He has scored, I think, 7 goals or something against him. But they are solid. We saw their performance against Chelsea. A very resounding performance and result for them. I think they will come into this game with the same vigor. I think it will be a high-scoring draw. I see Pep getting goals. If Alexander-Arnold is not in that game, then you expect that Milner and whoever is in there will find it hard against Jack Grealish and Cancelo. So I expect there to be goals. Of course, yes, Mohamed Salah has to do what he always does against Man City. It should be a very interesting game.
Musem, allow me to bring in Ali G on that because I see he has returned. Ali, did you feel Liverpool's obviously very resounding result for them away in Portugal, winning 5-1? Do you feel they can carry that form into the game against City? You know from experience in the last round of fixtures that Manchester City is no joke. So you would be better placed to comment on their chances for success.
But one thing we need to agree is that Manchester City has a striker problem up front. Their creativity is good. The way they link up, that's very good, but they have a striker problem. So I don't think there will be so many goals from them if they meet a team which is very organized defensively. And Liverpool is quite organized with their Van Dijk behind, commanding the defense very well, the midfield. So Liverpool may win the game because they're on form. Their cohesion is good. Their pace, the way they play and link up and run up front is very good. Their wing backs, it's very, very good. So I think they'll win the game. They'll carry on the form, maybe until, like you've all said, when their strikers go for African Cup and they also lose Joe Matip. One of the reasons why they lost games last season is because of the injuries in defense. So they will lose another defender in Joe Matip when he goes. So let's all be hopeful that when that happens, teams like Chelsea will catch up. But for the weekend, it will be an interesting game and it will be a game to watch. Yeah, a very good one.
Fantastic. Let's move on to the last game from the top 4 or the last top 4 team that was involved in the Champions League fixtures, and we did speak about, mention was made to the way Messi has dominated Guardiola's teams since Guardiola left Barcelona, and this was no different. PSG coming out on top here, the battle of the oil dimes, as some people called it.
Arab money.
Yeah, Arab money, as they call it. PSG coming out 2-0 winners on the night. What was your reaction, Musem, to that? Did Manchester City show up or play very poorly, or were PSG just too good for them? Look, I mean, we've all talked about this front three. At times you even lack the superlatives to actually describe what they're all about. But Messi coming out on top there. Mbappe was very dominant. For me, actually Neymar was the one who had a bit of a quiet night. But I mean, those front three are quite amazing. What was your take on the result, Musem?
It was a good result. It was a good game, actually, for starters. I think Man City played well. I still don't understand how they came out of that game without a goal. I think Donnarumma was the man of the match for PSG. Bernardo Silva missed it's a blinder. I mean, he was in front of goal and missed it twice. I don't understand how that happened. PSG is a very disjointed team. If you see their performance, because these front three never fall back. So there's always that big hole in between, the midfielders and the strikers. Yes, those channels are always, empty because nobody falls back. You're not going to ask Messi to fall back. Neymar will never fall back. So will Mbappe. They will never fall back. So I'm surprised that it actually ended 2-0 because given the caliber of City players, they should have scored a goal, or 1 or 2. It's shocking that it ended 2-0. I don't think PSG has yet shown that they can go ahead and win this Champions League yet. Let's see how that pans out. And Man City should really be able to qualify from that group easily. It was just an aberration that they lost this game, but they will resume. No more proceedings will resume in the coming games.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. Ali, did you feel that Man City is going to pay, not only in the Champions League, but even in the English Premier League, for not going out and getting that striker? I mean, they failed to get Harry Kane, obviously, but you could argue Lewandowski was there for the taking, and he continues to show his quality week in, week out. Do you feel they will pay for not having a striker?
Definitely. And talking of Harry Kane, you can see how frustrated he is. If you watch the Arsenal game and Spurs, he seemed so off. He looks a player who was very disappointed not to join Man City. And Man City seems so complete. But now there is that gap with Jack Grealish creating everything. You would feel like if Harry Kane was in that team, would be banging hat-tricks with Jack Grealish behind him, creating everything. So they will definitely pay, because if they meet teams like PSG, which are not so good defensively, but the striking is good, they will create something and run away with wins 2-0, 1-0. But still, Guardiola is a tactician. He's a genius. Maybe he'll do something. He'll play around with all those many midfielders, creative midfielders and wingers, like Sterling. Maybe he'll do something about it, but I think they'll pay in the long run. They will miss out on something, honestly.
All right, brilliant. I think we're going to leave it at that. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in. If you're just joining us, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, play back to catch up with the action that you missed out on. We have had a fantastic time reviewing the Champions League fixtures for the top 4 English teams. But actually, just before I leave, very quickly, gentlemen, your predictions for the next round of fixtures this weekend in the English Premier League from the top 6. We're getting back to business as usual. Arsenal and well, I'm not sure I want to mention Spurs, but Arsenal and Spurs. North London needs representation in that top 6. So I will quickly go through. Feel free to give me your score predictions. Let's keep it short and sweet. Manchester United action kicks off Saturday. Manchester United versus Everton, and that's at Old Trafford. What score is that? Are you giving them, Musem?
I'm going 3-1.
3-1 to Everton.
Never. 3-1 Man United. Ronaldo will come in with a double. Of course, our defense is not good, so I expect them to leak something, but 3-1 to United.
Ali G?
2-1 to Everton.
All right. There you go, my man. That's bound to spice things up a little bit. Okay, and then next in the top 6, we'll have Chelsea playing Southampton. Southampton going to Stamford Bridge there. I have a feeling Roman Abramovich's helicopter will have found fuel by the time Southampton arrives. What's your prediction there?
2-0 Chelsea, Lukaku brace.
Fantastic. Musem?
Well, Southampton has drawn against Man City and United. I expect them to line up very strongly in defense. I'm going for a draw, 1-1.
Okay, fantastic. And then I think the last one on Saturday from out of the top 6 is going to be Arsenal away to Brighton and Hove Albion. What's your prediction there, Musem? I'll give my prediction on this one as well.
Well, first of all, I have to mention that it's good to hear Arsenal in the discussion. I know we've been talking about European nights where they don't feature, but it's good to hear that Arsenal is actually part of this whole thing. But I'm going to go for an interesting game there. I think I'll give it to Brighton, 2-1.
2-1 Brighton. Interesting. Ali?
Yes.
Do you know that Brighton, when they played on Monday, they missed out on going top of the table. They've been a very strong force this season. So I think they're going to beat Arsenal. 2-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I think
that's my man. You're my guy.
Yeah, you guys, and that's why both of you were on the losing side last weekend. Not of the same feather. So anyway,
what's your prediction?
No, my prediction is 2-1 to the Arsenal. I feel it's going to be a very, very tight game. It's going to be a very tight game. We have to give respect to Brighton. Graham Potter has organized that team really well. If you look at players such as Neil Maupay, Pascal Gross, and
Lallana.
Yves Bissouma, Lallana as well. And might we forget Musem, an alumni of both Arsenal and United, in Danny Welbeck. He's actually comes in with some crucial goals for them. So
experience comes through for him.
Yeah, they're a tricky team in there. So I think it's going to be 2-1. I feel Arsenal will nick it at the death.
It should be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. And then moving on to Sunday's games, we will have
Man City, I think, will play Liverpool on that day.
Yeah, Man City is playing Liverpool on Sunday. So what's your prediction for that?
I've gone with a 2-2 draw. I want it to be full-time action.
2-2 draw.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Musem, yeah. I mean Ali G.
3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1 to okay.
This man still hits Pepe.
Yeah, 3-1 to Liverpool.
Okay, and then finally, Tottenham host Aston Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's actually another tricky one. I think Nuno Espirito Santo is under a lot of pressure. If he loses this, for sure, it's going to be there'll be calls for his head. Musem, what do you feel the result will be?
I'm going to give this one to Aston Villa. Aston Villa is playing really well, and Nuno is seeing it rough at a big club. I'm going for 2-1 Aston Villa. 2-1
Aston Villa. Ali G?
I think it will be 1-0 Aston Villa.
Okay, 1-0. I'm going for a 2-2 draw. And because I feel Spurs are under immense pressure. Son is back. It's going to be his second game back. They've missed him over the first two games that they lost. So I think Son and Kane will score. Aston Villa will come back, and I expect a 2-2 draw. It's been real, people. We have to leave it at that. Thanks very much, Musem and Ali G, for representing as usual. People, feel free to subscribe, like, hit the notification button for you to get some alerts about our content, and share our link widely and wildly. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe, and we will be back next week. Cheers.
Cheers.